He was playing a role of larger than an XO, 10 times larger. He was partial CO. He was the gunny. He was everything. He would make everything move in that company. And such a foresight planner, like we could see friction coming before it ever hit you. Like Lima Company inside the battalion was like always known for having their shit squared away. Like we were always the first ones to do X, first ones to do Y, first ones to do Z. 100% Luke Larson. 100% Luke Larson. He took probably out of all the pictures that I have, he took the majority of them. You know, he understood how to fight and win, and his personality was phenomenal.
How would you describe his personality?
Probably the most humble, proficient man I know. In the sense of like, you know, proficiency sometimes leads to arrogance. Luke, you know, he was good, and he knew he was good, but he was never like a dick about it. You know what I mean? You just love Luke. Like, you just love him. He's just a good dude. And he was my most trusted advisor. Like, the best story that I can say about Luke Larson is Luke and I got into a no-shit yelling match in my firm base over me going on a raid down south with a bunch of Iraqis. Oh, crikey. The dates were so run together. It was probably and again, I remember it more by week numbers. It was the 21st week in Iraq because I did weekly assessments.
We can figure that out.
Yeah, it was somewhere in the 21st, and it's on my weekly assessments. What happened was I was trying to empower the Iraqi police to go do things beyond our scope, and I was doing raids like way outside of the city and way outside of my AO. And like Luke was very hostile about this thing, to where, you know, him and I like yelling at each other. Like, you know, and he's like, if I gotta request mass, like, good, go request mass, you know, I don't give a shit, you know, and like, that's the great quality of him, because when he believed it was wrong, he was going to stand up for it. But when we left that office, if I gave him something that he did not like, and he thought was horseshit, nobody ever knew it. Mm-hmm. Nobody ever knew it. You know, I mean, he was that individual.
So General Mass would call that sturdy professionalism.
Oh, yeah. I mean, and god dang, like, I feel sorry for him. He used to have this quote, like he would tell the lieutenants all the time in like a desperate plea in his voice, I live with an axe murderer, because him and I roomed together. The running joke is that I have legitimately made Luke Larson a crazy person. That he's no longer really sane anymore. He can't walk down a hallway without twitching, expecting to be ambushed. Because one of my things is, you know, I commonly would attack my officers, you know, just to keep them all like alert. You know what I mean? And that was the thing, like never walk around in the white, officer. You're always in the orange. And so now he can't go anywhere. Like he walks in my office and he automatically picks up a weapon of opportunity, waiting to be attacked.
And Belmont. What human qualities does he have, and how did you? We talked about this idea of recruiting and developing talent.
Right. Belmont was assigned when I got there as already kind of as the intel guy. But, like, nobody had given Belmont direction. And Belmont's the type of guy who is like any good Marine, like, don't guide me, fine. Like, I'll keep doing my own shit. But once he would get guidance and know where he was supposed to go, like, he did very well at it. And one of the things that Belmont did very well that's hard for, like, and he did this in a positive manner, like, he did a good job of making his subordinates work. And, you know, be like, you're going to do X, you're going to do Y, you're going to do Z. And I heard one of his subordinates say, what are you going to do? I'm going to supervise you three. And so he was good at that kind of stuff. Belmont was easily the most abused Marine in Lima Company. Most abused. He had the hardest job. I expected nothing less than perfection out of him. He was expected to operate at a captain level of intel officer, and he was an 03, 11 grunt. But I expected nothing less out of him. And his products, he was more of an information management officer, which in the Army and the Marine Corps, can be a major's billet at times, because we were operating as a battalion. And his job was to collect all information, get all information out, and make sure it was perfect. And anytime it was not perfect, like Belmont would get abused. I had many pleas from many of my other junior officers, could you just be a little nicer to Belmont? And my answer was no. And it should have been. Like, I'm not saying I'm a good commander. I expected perfection from him every minute of every day. And Belmont Belmont was the type of guy who would be like, oh, what do you want? Like, you know, he's like, so X, like, all right, fine, you know what I mean? And he'd walk out, but he'd go do it. He would go do it. Like, he'd be, like, frustrated as hell. And, like, I would be frustrated with him. Like, how did you not catch, you know, that this guy's connected to this guy, connected to this guy? You know, and, like, in retrospect, you know, how would he know? You know what I mean? But, like, I never I did that with all the officers. Like, I asked the impossible out of them continually. And Belmont just received the worst of it.
So one of the major things here is that the S functions were expanded at the company level and at the AT level.
Oh, yeah.
And so Belmont, who was 0311, the E4 and E5, was filling that role of a
battalion S2, if not, you know, damn near regimental S2. Belmont every day would analyze what battalion and regiment would send. He would take all of the information from every single augmentation team patrol and every single augmentation team assessment, collect this into one document. What do you need, dude? Collect it into one single document, and then ship it out every day. And if it was late, I had his ass. If it was not perfect, I had his ass. If it, you know what I mean, like, and so he was held to a standard that was phenomenal, and he created a product that I think has yet to be seen in the, you know, in other units in the Marine Corps called NASCOPE IPB. It is the most phenomenal intel document I think I've ever seen. Created purely out of force of will, of me putting my will on Belmont, and Belmont is willing it to happen.
And so, you know, one of the things we talk about in the book is this idea of transformation within the Department of Defense writ large. So you basically got an E4 and E5, here's E5, operating at a level of at least an O2, probably through O4.
See, here, let me interrupt you here. Your paradigm is stopping you. Talent is everything, rank is nothing.
And that's what we want to get to.
Yeah.
And these intel documents, those were the ones that had like the half-naked ladies on them.
That's funny. Yes, they did. I'll go with the first one, and then I'll come back to the second one because they definitely
because that's what caught my attention when I was in Iraq.
The idea that I didn't care about rank,
right?
Like I didn't, and like I'll tell you, like Luke Larson's more talented than I am. Period. Lieutenant Mahika has much better creative qualities than I do. Sergeant Humphrey is the best platoon commander in the battalion. You know, Sergeant Belmont was the best intel operations chief in the battalion. Like in the sense that, like, and again, I know I haven't seen the S2 yet, but I'm telling you, like, somebody show me how you can pass around information like we did. Nobody could do it. Nobody could do it. And to the extent of where when I had people who joined the company later on, they were like, I know about the AO in 2 weeks of being with Lima Company that I have for the last 6 months.
And then did the fact that this was Belmont's 4th tour with Lima Company help him in that dissemination?
You know, yes, it did. And here's why. Like, here's where one thing led to another. Like, Belmont issued me the morning paper for the first time, and I was like, what the hell is this? It's like, it's something we did, you know, in Lima a while back. It was a morning paper just to the commanders showing them what was going on. I was like, this thing's awesome. Like, okay, I want it to look like this. And like, so Belmont's past experience, you know, knowing the way things worked and having a savviness to kind of make things happen. You know, the other thing he could do is he could grab any squad leader by the scruff of the neck and say, get me this report or I'll break your neck type thing. But so he had seen some things that had worked in the past and knew what he